connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. And now to the news. 2 days after the midterm polls, the Commission on Elections, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, has canvassed over 70 out of a total of 167 certificates of canvass or COCs. Based on the second canvass report released late Wednesday evening with 73 COCs, hugpong ng pagbabago or HNP senatorial bet re-electionist Senator Cynthia Villar is at the top with 10,416,332 votes. Second place is re-electionist Senator Grace Poe with 9,151,162 votes, followed by former Special Assistant to the President Bongo, 8,549,086, Representative Pia Cayetano with 8,417,229, and retired Philippine National Police PNP Chief Bato de la Rosa with 8,025,527. Another re-electionist, Senator Sonny Angara, is at 6th spot with 7,699,782 votes. HNP's Amy Marcos at 7th with 7,157,978, and Francis Tolentino 6,552,739. 8th place, and in 9th place is comebacking Senator Lito Lapid 6,607,637. Completing the Magic 12 are incumbent Senators Coco Pimentel with 6,220,434 votes, 10th JV Ejercito with 6,220,434, 11th, and Nancy Binay 5,949,885 votes, 12th place. Ejercito has overtaken opposition senatorial bet Bam Aquino, who was pushed to the 13th place with 5,722,776 votes. On the other hand, the party-list organizations occupying the top 10 spots based on the partial and official tally of the NBOC as of 12 a.m. Thursday are ACT CIS 1,361,983, Ako Bicol 601,211, Bayan Muna 498,599, Sibac 356,729, Provinciano Ako 298,936, Ang Provinciano 296,500, One Pacman 273,606, Senior Citizen 246,697, Gabriela 229,244, and COOP Natsico 218,454. Among the local COCs that have been already canvassed were from Makati City, Mandaluyong City, Las Piñas City, Muntinlupa City, San Juan City, Quezon City, Manila, Pasay City, Ifugao, Benguet, Baguio City, Mount Province, Ilocos Norte, Nueva Vizcaya, Zambales, Nueva Ecija, Marinduque, Occidental Mindoro, Sorsogon, Iloilo City, Capiz, Lapu-Lapu City, Negros Oriental, Southern Leyte, Biliran, Camiguin, Iligan City, Agusan del Norte, Dinagat Island, La Union, and Sarangani. COCs from overseas voting already canvassed were from Singapore, Brunei, Bahrain, Qatar, Phnom Penh, Greece, Oman, Taiwan, and Australia. The NBOC first convened Monday afternoon, hours after elections commenced, but they officially started canvassing votes last Tuesday. The poll body is looking to finish the canvassing of all COCs this week. The Philippine National Police or PNP seized a total of 12.208 million pesos in cash during operations against vote buying across the country. Based on the report from January 13 to May 14, Authorities also arrested 356 persons in 225 reported vote-buying incidents nationwide. The PNP said 85 suspects have been identified, but they remain at large, while 8 minors have been rescued during the police operations. The highest number of arrests were made in Metro Manila, with 136 in 9 reported incidents, yielding 541,000 in total. Of the total amount, Caraga region has accounted for almost 8 million pesos from 10 people apprehended, followed by Northern Mindanao with 1.12 million pesos from 17 people arrested, and Ilocos region, where 24 suspects yielded 561,000 pesos. PNP spokesperson Colonel Bernard Banak said the confiscated money have been submitted to prosecutors as evidence for criminal complaints filed against the suspects. PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde on Tuesday assured that they will further strengthen their capability to address vote buying and selling activities in the next elections. He adds, unlike the past years, the PNP now is more proactive in apprehending personalities involved in vote buying. Albayalde admitted that there were reports of massive vote buying during the May 13, 2019 elections. Filipino envoys posted in Canada were recalled after Ottawa missed the deadline on shipping out its garbage from Manila. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. barred Thursday morning. He said on his official Twitter account at midnight last night, letters for the recall of the ambassador and consuls to Canada went out. They are expected to be here in a day or so. He adds Canada missed the May 15 deadline and they shall maintain a diminished diplomatic presence in Canada until its garbage is shipped down there. In a reception in Makati City on Tuesday, Locsin said the Department of Finance informed him that Canadian representatives did not show up in a meeting with the customs and that was the trigger. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo earlier warned that Canada's disposal of its garbage is dangerously disruptive of Philippine-Canadian ties. He, however, assured this does not mean that there would be cutting of ties between the two countries. The Canadian embassy has promised to resolve the issue, including taking the waste back to Canada. On the recall of Filipino envoys back to the Philippines, the Canadian embassy in Manila has yet to respond as of posting. More than 100 container vans from Canada arrived in batches at the port of Manila from 2013 to 2014. Initially declared to contain only plastic scraps, it was found to have non-recyclable plastics, household waste, and used adult diapers. Late in April, President Rodrigo R. Duterte gave Ottawa an ultimatum to take back its trash. A few days after, Locsin said the deadline is on May 15, 2019. When asked to comment, Canadian Ambassador John Holmes back then declined to pinpoint the exact date. He said, quote, "No comment right now," end quote, in an email to the Philippine news agency PNA on May 1. Malacanang on May 7 said the Canadian government has committed to shoulder all the expenses of shipping out all 69 containers dumped in the Philippines in the year 2013. Senior officials from the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Pillar met in Chiang Mai, Thailand to discuss concrete steps to advance the implementation of the ASEAN Declaration on Culture of Prevention for a peaceful, inclusive, resilient, healthy, and harmonious society. The officials discussed the proposed ASEAN Plan of Action on COP, which brings together around 50 activities across ASEAN socio-cultural communities and 15 sectoral bodies under an overarching framework of fostering a culture of prevention in the ASEAN region. Deputy Secretary General for the ASCC, Pung Phuoc, said, quote, "The plan of action will serve as a roadmap on where they are today and the directions they are forging ahead to make preventive outlook at the core of what they do." The declaration was adopted by ASEAN leaders at the 31st ASEAN Summit in 2017. It encapsulates 6 key thrusts, namely promoting a culture of peace and intercultural understanding, promoting a culture of respect for all, promoting a culture of good governance at all levels, promoting a culture of resilience and care for the environment, promoting a culture of healthy lifestyle, and promoting a culture supporting the values of moderation. Toromati Vimolsiri, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Social Development and Human Security of Thailand, said that the declaration aims to address root causes of violence such as socio-economic problems including poverty, social inequalities, lack of access to education, and lack of economic employment opportunities. He said the culture of prevention is cross-cutting in nature, that it calls for close coordination and collaboration from the three pillars of ASEAN community: ASEAN political security, ASEAN economic, and ASCC. 6 preliminary ideas for outreach campaigns will be implemented in 2019 to 2020 to kickstart the plan of action, with the youth being agents of change. 2 out of the 6 campaigns specifically focus on them. The possible ideas to be explored include a campaign to engage youth to promote intercultural understanding, and another to keep youth away from vices including drugs. When we come back, our resident ASEAN resource person, Dr. Carlos Tabunda Jr., joins us to interview our guest for today.
With gorgeous white sandy beaches that stay cool to touch even on the hottest summer days, blue-green ocean waves, and the warm ocean breeze, there's no wonder why Dr. Beach has named Siesta Key, Florida, the #1 beach in the United States. Don't forget to watch episodes of Digital Next every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Melissa Protest, coming to you from Siesta Key, Florida, and I am one with 25.
Para sa mga viewers namin sa Middle East at North Africa via OSN, hello po sa inyong lahat dyan. Ako po si Angelo Pulmones.
Ako po si Mylene Mariano Rivera at araw-araw tayong magkakasama
Sa Agila Balita. Dito sa Net25 at OSN, siguradong
at home kayo dito.
Pep News, Linggo, alas 4 hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Kaloy Tabunda from the New Era University ASEAN Studies Center. The May 13 national and local elections have just been consummated, and it's all over now, but the final official count, particularly for the Senate race. The 30 candidates have dominated the Senate, and so what are its implications for the next few years? We'll discuss this, and we're honored to have in the program once again our Suki here in the program, Dr. Ari Sarugay from the University of the Philippines Political Science Department, and he's also actually connected with the New Era University as one of the lecturers of the certificate program in international relations and ASEAN studies. Welcome to the program again, Dr. Aris.
Welcome, Kaloy.
Okay, so my question is, what is the implication on the Senate independence on the election of with the 30 candidates dominating the Senate elections now?
It's been a long time since no genuine opposition candidate has won a midterm election seat in the Senate, especially after our experience with martial law since 1986. So it's important to note that what you have right now is a big possibility that the Senate will have in its composition a supermajority, meaning more than an absolute majority of Duterte allies and loyalists. What we can also note is that this supermajority is critical in some of the major policy shifts that this administration is seeking to do in its last 3 years in office, particularly changing the 1987 Constitution. But we should note that a lot of the very important, let's say, policies as well as processes like the budget, like impeachment, requires a lot of support, if not a big majority. And while the Senate is nationally elected, and it's quite difficult to configure who belongs to what, we are safe to say that the Duterte administration will have more control than before.
Okay, but if we look at the issues surrounding the 2019 budget, when supposedly, for example, he should have control of the House of Representatives, but we see what happened in this.
Right. The delay in the budget had large negative effects in the country, to the point that it somehow could be attributed to the low growth in the first quarters of this year, and the administration didn't really intervene as much, in my opinion, in quickly solving what is supposedly the impasse in both between the House and the Senate. This is not an impasse between Malacanang and Congress. It's an internal
between both houses
tension between
Congress,
both houses of Congress. They couldn't reconcile their versions, to the point that the final budget has to be vetoed. There were some line vetoes by the president. It tells you that while there is support for the administration and for President Duterte among members of Congress, we cannot automatically say that the executive will control. They have the capacity, but it's actually whether they will do it or not. And we've seen this in the case of the budget.
Okay, moving on. So, with the election of the supermajority now in the Senate, what should be the impact on the priority bills? For example, federalism, which has been announced as dead on arrival by one of the previous senators.
Right, because if really the Duterte administration have been as serious as it was on federalism, they would not have allowed the House version to have passed.
Okay.
Simply because it strayed away from two versions of the charter, one from the President's party, PDP Laban, and the other is from the Constitutional Commission that the President himself created. Both of those drafts veer away from the draft that the House approved. Now, what will likely happen is that new bills will be proposed, and this is where we'll see to what extent can the Duterte administration, the executive, Malacanang, can impose its own, going back to its own version, or will it let other political actors take the lead? So rather than leading from behind, will the Duterte administration be on the driver's seat of this process? Something that it did not do in the first 3 years of its administration.
But looking at the composition of the supermajority, how do you think this will play out?
If we're talking about the Senate, supposedly it was the reason why federalism and constitutional change did not work in the first 3 years. So, but here's the thing. As I said, the senators are nationally elected.
Yes.
And therefore, any senator, we've known that a lot of presidents come from being senators. And they have in their mind not just 2019, but 2022.
Yes.
So, in a way, if this will entail, and they also have tenure beyond 2022. So, if, for example, federalism and constitutional change will abolish the Senate, or will make it less powerful than before, then we might see some exertion of independence.
Okay.
But what if also, it's because federalism and charter change will completely change the ballgame.
Yes.
What if some senators are willing to give in to this? If they could become governors in states. So in the end, senators will have to individually calculate how they stand, how their political fortunes and futures, depending on what is offered to them by the administration.
So we cannot really predict yet
We can't. There's too many factors at work.
Death penalty.
We have some senatorial candidates who have expressed a strong preference, and therefore all it needs is a Senate version.
Yes.
Right? All it needs is a Senate version, but they will have to be really careful about policies like the death penalty, because it has to be attuned to public opinion as well. But the key here, I think, is if some of the newly elected senators will say that this is something that Malacanang or the Duterte administration prioritized, we might see it pass. I'm not discounting that possibility, but it's the framing.
Yes, yes.
How will they frame it? Is this going to be a debate about life, the right to life? Is this going to be a debate about peace and security, peace and order? Right?
Political dynasties.
Okay. In this election,
Yes.
right? So there's been some indications that some dynasties have not fared well
Okay.
and have really been losers in the elections. But as someone who has studied political dynasties, we must also take a look at who vanquished the political dynasties. Are they just dynasties in the making?
Okay.
So we're only thinking about that they lost, but we must think about what we need to put in place in order for them to really not have the power to come back.
Okay, what about the issue of term limits? How do you see this will play out in the new Senate, in the new Congress?
Term limits are something that politicians would love to get rid of. This is
Okay.
something that has already
So
been.
you're not positive that something will come out of this?
I mean, if we're talking about politicians and their interests, being against term limits is something that would benefit them. So a constitutional change that will result in the lifting of term limits, that's a possibility.
Okay, finally, last question for this portion. How do you explain the results of the national elections 3 years into his term, and President Duterte's term President Duterte's trust rating is still very high?
Right. So the palace has said that this is Duterte magic.
Okay.
Right? That this Duterte has been campaigning for a lot of those who have made it in the Magic 12, as we say, and they attribute it to Duterte magic. But we must also understand that you have a fragmented opposition. So for Duterte to get all the credit, I think
Yes,
we must have a balanced view of the larger political context
Okay.
of the elections.
We'll discuss about this and other issues relating to the May 13 national and local elections in Action in Focus Weekend, which will be shown this Saturday. In the meantime, thank you very much, Dr. Aris Arugay. Thank you for gracing our show. And that's all for now. I'm Dr. Kaloy Tabunda, and I'm on with 25. Back to you, Judith. Maricar, sorry.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco, and I am one with 25.